Hey, well, welcome to the Dream Labs live with Dr. Contrast. Boy, really cool to see some of the participants already. Chip, Jeff, David, boy, really good to have you on board. Fun stuff here, and appreciate you taking the time to join forces with me. And hopefully, Chip, you get some work done and stay nice and cool. Don't let anybody know you're on the air with me. And if you do, well, I'm in trouble too, I guess. But good to have you guys on board. And David, always good to have you on board. We're glad you had some free time. And Jeff, a joy to have you on board as well. So let's go back and roll back the tape a little bit here. Last Tuesday, we just sat down and put together a series of sketches here. I'm going to review a real quick review, then we're going to do some application here. That just did a couple of sketches. I thought it was really interesting. After Tuesday last week, I'm going back about a week ago, on Thursday's stream, there was a lot of conversation about lucidity and generating ideas and how to begin to develop a looseness or some fluidity in your sketches. And we talked about certain exercises. I think it was Ben Northern was the one that brought the question up. And we did some conversation about, hey, try this, this, and this, and this. There are some things I deal with day to day to kind of keep that practice alive. But I think the neat thing about it was that at the end of the day, I thought, it'd be kind of fun to go back in and maybe spend next week, which was this past Tuesday, what I refer to as speed form studies. Again, a very interesting set of circumstances begin to speed forms. The point I made on last Tuesday's stream was this, that the speed form exercise, its whole purpose is to develop a sense of process, not to develop a sense of perfection. And I think the process side is being much more active in terms of letting line do the work for you, not trying to be predictable, not trying to force certain things, but just laying down a speed shape. Probably each sketch taking about maybe 40 seconds to a minute at best, and just laying down ideas to get that to come to pass. I think that was the exercise we put together for last Tuesday's stream exercise. So based on that input on last Tuesday, I thought, well, at the end of the stream, I was working with Chip and a bunch of the guys on the program, what if we took some of these ideas and began to convert them into an application of a conceptual study of some sort? So that's what I'm going to concentrate on today. So I'm going to take some of those sketches. I'm going to review what we did on Tuesday a little bit and go back and convert one or two choices, and we'll put it into some sort of application here. So the first sketch we did, the first page we did, was just a series of very quick little empathic studies or strike studies such as this. I went back and looked at this guy here. This one kind of intrigued me a little bit. Not from the point of view, it was a bit of a different departure from the the mobility side of life, of course. But I thought, it'd be kind of an interesting thing to look at here. So that's the one I picked, and I'll come back to that in a moment here. The second page, let me just turn the page over a little bit here. Second page we did was this, where we did a little bit of a freewheeling like a four-place floater. Again, speed form, looking at different envelopes and wheel systems, and just generating line shape. Very, very simple stuff. So that one intrigued me from the point of view, what is this again to do? What kind of conversion can we put this into? And maybe look at the front graphics, maybe do a couple of variations on themes, some profile work. So that was one I wanted to look at too. So the second one, and the third one was this, the last one we did, third choice. Really interesting because Chip, you're on board on this one, I think. I really picked this one from the point of view that, it was as a plan view study, but I thought, Chip referred to as the Batmobile. And that was interesting that he brought that up. So I took this guy and see if we can't convert it into some sort of application as well. So those are the three choices. And I'm going to go back in and, as I said, look at some sort of application and product conceptual stuff. I'm not going to get into a product identity or certain, yes, it's this or that. I already see, I did like architecture in the first page. Yeah, the first page? I mean, which one, David? Are you referring to this guy right here? The first page, is that one? That kind of architectural feel? Interesting, I didn't see that before. Yeah, the Batmobile indeed. That's right, Chip. Is that the one you referred to? Yeah, this is the one. Yeah, it's interesting. The whole form study, I think you're right. There's a little bit of a character to it there, but I'm going to take this approach here. Let's go back into sketch one, and let's go a little bit active with this thing. So right away, from that first study, and I'll try to make a comparison as we go here. This is the one I'm going to start with right here. How do we take that into some sort of conceptual application? So bear with me here, we'll kind of go through some things. I'm just going to start doing a little ballpoint pen sketch, and then taking that same theme, I'll start the sketch, go through it, and we'll bring back hopefully the strike and begin to make some analogies as to how it all came together. So one of the things I always enjoy doing when I start a sketch is to set up a platform, either in my mind or on paper. So I think what we'll do here is begin to show you, for example, let's do this. Let's go real lightly here, and just start striking in. what I refer to as like a spine line or a center line to kind of give me a guide here. This is going to tell me where I'm going to start to develop this sketch. I'm going to come back with a series of strike lines here and just come right through it and begin to build a platform. It's there, and the platform is there. Inside that confinement, I'm going to start to put together some sort of a pattern or a sketch of some sort. So let's break into this thing. See, I'm using that center line as a guide. Now let's come back and get some, really back to that sketch we were working with earlier here. Now, the other side, let's transfer it through with that front canard in place here. Draw that across. And we're going to set the front architecture. I'm starting to put the nose cap together on this thing, just kind of putting it all together here. And I'll show you in a moment what the transfer was here in just a second, okay? So hey, bear with me here. Let's get this nose cap in place. Take that underneath. Develop a little bit of a radar spoon on this thing. Going to develop a tactical fighter of some sort for the next generation of flight systems here. So let's kind of draw through this guy. Now let's develop that other canard here. Let's bring this thing off. Bring this through. Get that little table to work in here. That wing set. Let's bring this off now. Oops, pardon me. Turn this thing around here and get some a little more directive in it. Turn it back and begin to finish that wing. Transfer this through. With that same process to go back into here. That's that far side wing. You're not going to see much of the break here because that thing in plan view begins to drop down just a little bit and has a bit of a different stance to it. So there we are with a little rough ballpoint pen sketch here. Let's kind of go a little further with this thing now. You won't see much of the canard on the inner side. Well, you'll see just a bit. Let's do that, just enough. I'll come underneath here. A little bit of tone in this thing now. into that wing system. Let's break up the aileron just a little bit here. Get that all in place. A little bit of that wing breaking through this, a bit of weight to it, and just little by little build this thing up just a bit here. Just a little bit of underbody in this thing. That's where they almost like an F-16 intake piece underneath. You don't see in this view, but it's there. A little bit of a breathing slot. Come back in. Fuel dump. Just conceptualizing and just putting that form into some sort of application based on our little study work that we did last Tuesday. Trying to take some reference into what this stuff does and how the speed form becomes an application for a certain variety or product line here. We're trying to put in some sort of application for. Let's put a little bit of tone underneath this thing. That's where the underbody is. Just going to run this through just a bit. Just moving through this thing, put more definition into it here. A bit more of an underbody in this guy. Taking in this little slot here. A bit of an indicator. I'm just moving through it very lucidly, dovetailing this thing back, a little bit of extended canard here, and back into the underbody here again. Let's run that right through. So there, in essence, looking at that first little pen sketch there, bat spaceship, yeah, it could be that ship, you're right. Could be that indeed. So there it is, gang. There's almost like a first thumbnail study. Oh, sorry, let's get this little corner squared away here. There's a little thumbnail study, our first little ballpoint pen sketch, based on what that whole process was that we dealt with on Tuesday. For example, let's make a comparison here. That's where we are. What do you think, gang? Try and get them to work a little bit here. There's one against the other. There's the actual concept here, the speed form, and then I'm taking this, notice the canards we dealt with, and also this little bit of a reverse wing system that drops down and developed another canard. I just took that same slope line and just brought it right through and kind of stiffened it up a little bit for some canopy work and the like. Just really interesting how that whole process came together in terms of how to take that speed form as a very lucid approach and then begin to put it right back into place in terms of, okay, now we've got a concept. What do we do with this thing now? What does it begin to look like? How can we take that concept into some sort of an application? And this is just a pure concept study here, folks. I mean, I'm not saying that this is that different. It's just an introduction aircraft study based on that strike pattern that we're working with. I want to really develop those front canards and let that become part of the design process here in this little ballpoint pen sketch. So that was the first application. There it is. Let me put that out of the way. Let's go back into this thing just for a moment here. So what do you think, gang? So far so good? Is this making sense? Anybody? Any comment at all? Other than thanks, Chip. Yeah, it is. It's nice to know that you can take some things that license and really begin to open up on some things and develop a little more concept in terms of not being so predictable with certain shapes and forms and the like. I mean, this is a very lucid study here, obviously, but I think that's the purpose of why we did that exercise on Tuesday, to get into the habit of seeing things differently, a little bit fresher. Oh, let me do this. Let me make sure we get that so we can see that canard underneath here. A little more tone in here. And there it is. Just want to be certain that we don't fall into the trap of being predictable at all times. And at the same time, having enough investigation into doing some really unique stuff here and looking at a different approach to this, the process of conceptualizing. Let's go back the other way now. Let's go back in through here. And a little slipperier. Platform, platform, platform. Let's get those canards in place. Notice applying it to this thing really quickly, like I just want to get the essence of this shape down here. There it is there. Much quicker, much more lucid. There's that first set of canards there. That's that same system. Looking at it from the rear. I'm just going to turn it around a little bit here and just do a little bit of a thumbnail sketch. I'm putting the rest of this guy together here. So we can kind of get this thing to fly for us here. Let's get this guy to come up and work right into that. There's the offset. And again, let's take that big, really wide canard here. That wing system. There it is. Real quick. A bit of an underbody. Take that on through. Just really quick pen sketches, not counting on being perfect, with it just generating shape. Let's get that same probe in place again. Let's get that backside wing just in place here. But all we'll see is that other side here, as that guy just kind of projects through. And there's a little thumbnail sketch again. It's a bottom sketch. Has a really nice shape. Yeah, it's an interesting little form to it. Yeah, it gets a little chunky in through here, David. But again, I just want to refer back to that initial concept sketch we did from the speed form study. So there it is. Let's kind of get that on through. Let's put that little cockpit piece in here. That goes there. there it is, gang. It's Comp 1. What do you think? Making sense? Wow, I'm sketchy. You like that one, Dave? That's cool. I just want to, again, really kind of point out the fact that we're taking the liberty of coming in with the first sketch at it here. Let's do this. We can kind of get these guys lined up. The first one that we're looking at here. See if we can just barely get them all in there, maybe, sort of. There it is, right there. Just enough of, there's the actual strike itself, the actual speed form. Now the conversion into like an interdiction fighter of some sort, a little more fracture with a double foil wing here up front that we picked up on this guy and then brought it into some body form. It's not quite as fluid, but this one kind of captures more of the shape. You're right, David. Bottom flows better, I think. Yeah, I agree. It's a much more, I just kind of get more of a cockpit, upright cockpit look on this first sketch here. But coming back with the second one, it's really interesting how there's a little bit more fluid. I actually caught some of that same architectural feel that you were referring to earlier, David. That's Zaha Hadid. So that was kind of interesting. So, so far so good, gang. So there's phase one. Let's just do this. And there's the first family of forms right there. I just want to take that again. Strike conversion. Just looking at how to begin to apply what these things begin to look like, and I begin to see them. So let's put that as a pair. Let's come back to the second one here. Now the second one we looked at was this. We took this same kind of a land platform, this aerofoil, 4-place aerofoil piece, which was this guy here. And what do we do with that in terms of maybe walking around and looking at how to apply certain things to that? So let's go back and begin to put this into some sort of practice here. Let's put that aside for a moment, then we'll just come in here and say, let's get this thing started here. I'm going to come back in, again, get that platform set up. Drive through it so I know where I am. Drive through it, setting that up, and again, come down the ground line and get that all set up. Just basically getting it all set. Let's come back and reverse this thing here. Let's get this started here. In the center line. Balloon it. And notice I picked up that same, let's just stop right there. That's how I picked up that same contour right here on this guy, right here. That's what I'm looking at. See if we can get these guys to work together. That contour line right there represents what that center line is doing from the front 3/4. So we turn it around a little bit here, and we're going to take a look at how it begins to function. So there it is there. Let's kind of get that out of the way and just carry on here for a second. Let's open this up. Let's get this foil in place. Let's get this foil in place. Let's come across here and really open that up. Concentrate a little bit of front end graphic in this guy first. Aha! Starting to put it all together now. See it come together again. But we're taking place is just getting that center line set up. Let's run that through. Let's draw through that and get this moving. And there's the first little study. Get that corner out of the way here, guys. Pardon me. Just going to roll that back just a bit and get this thing to straighten out a little. There it is. Little thumbnail sketch. There she is right there. What do you think, guys? There's another conversion study from that speed form. And let's just do this again. Let's kind of get this guy up to speed here. See what you think. There's the front 3/4. And there was the original study we did last week in terms of, there it is. There's the rear 3/4. And then there's front 3/4. It didn't change much because they did, this is nice. I love this nose. Yeah, the nose cap is interesting. How it all just take away from, the almost jet-like appearance in the tail section. And then into this guy, where we come back and let's just do a little further. Let's just go a little further with this guy here. More conventional front end graphic, but nonetheless, just a little bit of a partial piece here to kind of put it all together. And I think it's interesting how the chin system on this guy can really begin to develop a new sense of form here. And I think that's the idea we're looking at. Maybe these things are a little bit on that abstract side, but to get into the body forms, how to develop a front end graphic and take advantage of some of the things we're dealing with here. So there again, the value of a speed form just being very lucid and not changing too much of the platform, but just getting into the habit of saying, okay, maybe we go from this variation to that front 3/4. What does it look like? The rear section is kind of radical. Yeah, very much so. The front end as well. But again, we're looking at just ways of treating concept and how to begin to put together themes and ideas. It's all conceptual. There's nothing here that really states in terms of, well, it's got to be this or it's got to be that or perfection. It's all a matter of learning how to work with the process and not getting caught up with being perfect. I think you notice the sketches are really ragged and loose, and I think that's the idea I want to get across, is that even though you go this route being very lucid, you also go this route being much more lucid because you've got a theme to work with, so you're just kind of massaging it a little bit and make sure it all begins to function. So there's one. Let's go back. Let's do a variation on this guy. Let's put a little bit of ground line down here. Well, we did that. Pulled the cab full forward and made that real bold statement about just a really aggressive stance on this guy. There you go. Another little variation on theme here. So there's an elevation study. Take that a step further. Let's go back in again. Look at this thing and say, all right. And there's variation too. What do you think here, guys? Making sense here as far as putting together a program in terms of getting from this variation, for example, from this guy into, for example, let me see if I can get these guys lined up here. There we are. Let's put this right at the very top of the screen here, and we can just kind of sneak that in just a little bit here. There's another variation on theme about three-quarter rear on the actual. Getting better as iterations. Yeah, it's like the massage theme, Chip. You're right. It just gets stronger because you start with some basic theme, you begin to move a little bit, then change the gesture a little bit, and that begins to help really facilitate the fact that you're moving through the matrix of really developing ideas here as you go. Last one has some Porsche fly line, and yeah, it's kind of neat, Jeff. It does have some fly line. That's very good observation there. So thanks for the feedback here, guys. Again, all we're trying to focus in on here is taking a very lucid pencil study in speed form adaptation as just as a statement in line or volumetric study, and begin to put some sort of application behind it. Not saying it's foolproof. I'm just saying it's just a way of getting into the ideation of taking something that's extremely out there on the ragged edge and bringing it all back to a little bit of tangibility so we can work with it on. So there was phase 2. Let's see if we come up with the last one here. This is the one I think you'll love, Chip. This is the one that your favorite, if you're still there. This is the Batmobile Special. I looked at that guy. I thought, boy, you know, that could be kind of a neat-looking interdiction fighter, some sort, some kind of Star Citizen, if we massage it a certain way. Maybe that was a basic theme and just a basic gesture. And you pointed out very nicely last Tuesday. It's almost like a Batman series in plan view. Yeah, it is. But what if we took that same theme and kind of moved it up a little bit, maybe opened this guy up a little bit, and then pinched this forward and brought a little more, brought this roundness back into the actual canopy area here and converted into some of the, what I refer to as a Star Citizen quick strike interdiction fighter. So let's take a look at this guy. Let's leave that right there. Just going to get a fresh sheet of paper. And let's take a look at how that's going to do. Here, I'm going to start up here. Again, center line. Getting a frame set up. There it is. Going to be there, there, and there. I'm just starting to set up some sort of guideline here to get me. Let's see this. Not too much pressure, is there, Chip? Thanks. Let's see what this does. So let's take a look at what we've got here. Let's come back in and develop that. Let's get that pitchfork in thing first. Let's get that very strong statement up front here. It's going to come back in and pick up that same. There it is there. Let's pinch it in. Let's pinch that in. Let's get that whole process to start to, there I am there, and there I am there. Let's bring this back out. Notice we bring that cockpit. What we did on that one here was kept a very round surface, maybe a power cell back in through here. But in this variation on theme here, I'm going to take this whole concept and move it forward and get a bit of a cant forward position on this thing. So let's get this platform set up here. Notice again, working right up that center line, up, over the top, right to center line. Back in, there I am. Let's have some spooky looking research stuff here. Let's do this. Let's go back in off that pinch line. And there it is there. Let's come off of this. Let's get this set up here. Let's come underneath. Let's take this thing forward. Develop some sort of like a radar telemetry system up front here. Let's get that same underbody on this side. There it is there. Notice the canopy's recessed. Push back inside those two pinch points. That's going to be interesting to see what happens. Now let's get this portion here. Let's now work on this. We've already got that started. Let's take this guy right here and say, all right, I'm going to work on this area right here, guys, and just open that up and kind of put more of a plan form to it, almost like a fighter system of some sort. Here we go. I'll come out here to the platform, pick that up, draw that through so I know where I am. Back in again, start to connect the dots. There it is into there. I'm going to come back around here. Get that set up here. High canards. High canards. Bring it back here, draw through it. And into the body side itself, and there it is there. There it is there. A little bit of an offset. A bit of an offset. Again, same process. There it is. There's my contact point. There's my canard here. Let's bring this into the landing platform. Let's get a little bit of a secondary little flap on this guy. Little stealth intake. Bring this form together, marry that in. Marry that in right there. Just take that belly right into the process there. It's a little wider here and it pinches off. And there's phase one. What do you think, guys? There it is. A little bit of a flight study here. Looks epic. That's cool. How about that, guys? A little bit of that split front end. Let's get this guy cleaned up here a little bit. Taking advantage of, as we said before, there's that little platform there. It comes out and put a little section in this thing. So we'll see what we're doing with this guy. There it is. Comes over the top in the canopy, out into that flat spot, and takes you right back into the aircraft itself, into the fighter itself. So that's a little bit of a pen study here based on this guy right here. This is where we started. Let's get this guy lined up. There it is. There was the actual strike form up on top there. And there she is. And then let's down below here. There's the aircraft variation. Or is this a glassless one? So there's a cockpit. Cockpit's right inside the point right here, right in behind that whole those two canards there, Chip, and relying on some sort of a very sophisticated radar system to pick up enemy traffic and the like. So kind of buried the pad a little bit for safety purposes here. So anyway, that was a variation on theme. And taking advantage again, notice getting those pinchers up front become part of the process, and taking this whole rear section, opening it up, and get more of a plan form as a flight system to work with here. So there's variation one. And what if we did another, for example, what if we did this and we took that same process and said, I keep curling this edge here, pardon me, as I get rid of this guy here, there it is. And we come back and do a little elevation study here. Same basic process. Further in the nose job here, it's kind of more of a conventional canopy here, Chip, up front, cab forward all the way. See what that does. Bring that wing surface off of here. See what that does for us here. Not maybe as intriguing, but interesting stance. A little bit more fluid. There's a little elevation stance right there, just a little more different stance to it here, phase 2. What do you think, guys? Is this application making sense in terms of converting from that strike, for example, the strike system we're working with here with the actual speed form studies and moving into some sort of application for some concept work? Please let me know if this is coming together for you, all right? And if anything I can clarify, I'd be happy to do so at this stage of the game here. So anybody, Dave, Chip, anybody at all? Jeff? Very quick little sketches here about making conversions into what we started with here last week. Again, let me bring this up. There it is, right there. Together, taking that same theme and say, all right, well, there's a seed there, but in every example we've done thus far, we're taking that same seed and begin to open it up a little bit and begin to apply certain things to it, making some adjustments here and there. We haven't really gone verbatim, but the only thing we picked up here was that front pincer system here into this application for this fighter. And then into the rear section, just opened it up. It kept some of that same open vacuole back there, a little more conventional, not as organic, but sort of have to make the case here. So let's go back and finish this guy up, and we'll go from there. So let's go back into a plan B here. Let's get a center line down here. See what this guy does. Let's open this up. There it is. Let's run that strike line right through. Let's do this. Let's get that cross section. Let's put that in place. Pick up the right spacing here. Now let's get that canopy in place. That's where we brought that point right there. That's the point I was getting at. That portion there is this portion here, where we actually took this whole concept of this guy right here and just pulled it all forward and brought it in part of the canopy system and buried the cockpit or the pilot inside those two pincer movements here. So there we are, a little bit of a plan view study here. Now let's open this thing up, the wing graphics will work here. There's that negative spot. those two canards. This area here is that area there in plan view. There it is, coming across. Let's keep this pretty square to the world here. That's that. A bit of a foil back in through here. Let's take this in. Let's put a sawtooth in here. And we'll get that stealth look. Stealth intake. Let's get that second fold in here. That's canard. That's canard. Wing cutback. Venturis. And there it is. No variation on theme. Phase 3, there she is. There's a series of studies here. Interesting to see how you derive geometry from the initial studies. Sometimes you just forget to look beyond the earth. Yeah, I think you're right, David. Very good point there. Makes sense. Divides. You actually build the geometry out of getting these platforms set up first there, David. I think that has been an enormous help, getting that all set up first. Then you come back and use those plot lines and determine where you're going to set the scale of certain things to be done here. So any comment on? Thank you, David. That's a great point. Sometimes easy to forget to look beyond the roughs. Yeah, the roughs tell the story, though, David. Don't lose sight of that. They will tell you what the theme's going to be, what the gesture is going to look like, and all these things we're dealing with here. So all part of the package there, gentlemen. So anybody, I'll stop right there for a moment. Let's put the conclusion together here and see if we made any sense with this guy. This is, again, initial strike. We came back with a family of forms here. This generated some very interesting little concept sketches based on that basic theme in the perspective study, and then the Batmobile chip, for example. Then come back in with the whole operation of expanding the will of the platform here. So that was the last one we did. So then we go back to this guy, and we started with this theme, and started there with that guy, and then moved into this as a family of shapes here. So there's the second strike we selected, and there are little theme sketches that came out of it. So again, looking at the front 3/4 and coming back into some little elevation studies here with that guy. So that was part number 2. Then the first one we did was this. Came back in with this strike here and looked at this guy as a beginner and began to move into it for some inspiration, and began to look at this again, converted this basic theme into this. Let me kind of try and get this guy lined out here. This one came into existence as a result of doing that. So we can get them all in place here. There's the actual strike itself up front. And there's the actual elevation we started with up on Tuesday of last week, and converted into some sort of perspective study here, and a little bit of a variation on theme, looking at it from the rear. Interesting set of circumstances here, guys. So that basically does it for this exercise today. I just thought it was really a lot of fun to take a peek at what we're dealing with here. Again, the purpose was to really get into the process of understanding how to work with the idea of becoming much more process related, and not so perfect. That's a really interesting format as far as I'm concerned. Sometimes the perfection can become paralytic. It's just cool seeing this take form. Thanks very much, Chip. Fun stuff. To go from one conversion to another, begin to take that very avant-garde approach to a speed form, and then taking it right back into some sort of concept or application. Conceptual as it is, it's still an exercise, and revitalizing the imagination. That's what it's all about here. So, any other comments? Jeff, you're still with me? David, please feel free to harp in here. Any closing commentary would be very, very helpful. Anybody at all. Great stuff, guys. Thanks for tuning in here today. By the way, Chip, hope we get your work done. Be cool. Good to see this. Thanks, David. It's good to see him, have you on board. Fun stuff to have you on board again. I've not forgotten you, and I really appreciate the time spent here. Great to tune in. Yeah, very super, Jeff. Thanks so much. Hope you guys have a great day. And then let me close again. If you have any comments about or things you want me to work on, future reference or subject matter in the future, please let me know. Give me a quick drop an email note to me at my email address at jim@drcontrast.com. I'd love to have you be a part of that process. Always looking for ways to improve the breed and put different subject matter together. So if I can be any assistance there, please let me know about that. And also, I want to make this appeal too. I'm really interested in expanding my audience here. So if you know of any friends that want to tune in on Tuesdays and Thursdays to my stream program on drawing skills or whatever conceptual stuff, happy to have you pass that along and noise it abroad. I really want to build the audience, because I think there's something here about all of us to learn from and to begin to build on. So again, just let your friends know that I'm available on Tuesday and Thursdays from 2 to 3 or an hour or so, and we'll go from there. And last but not least, just please take a look at my website, drcontrast.com. I've got a very simple setup in terms of drawing skills, 9 lessons, very affordable. And if you know of anybody who's interested in that, please, I appreciate you passing that along as well. So it's been a lot of fun today to go from Tuesday's stream, which was much more speed form conceptual related, and to take that application today into some geometry in terms of how do we convert that. What does the theme begin to look like? And last but not least, I really appreciate the time spent here, gang. And I always close the streams with this commentary, because I really believe it with all my heart. Never forget to dare to be great, because you are. Tremendous job, gang. Thanks for tuning in today. Take care of yourself, and we'll see you next Tuesday at 2 o'clock. Thank you. Have a great weekend, and take care. Thanks very much.